This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text our little show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Okay. As I was driving in this morning, I heard an Absolute Radio jingle. You know, I'm a big fan of Matt Berry and his jingle art, as I like to think of it. And it was something like one of his, his fabulous, rich. I always think of it as a sort of autumnal coloured voice he's got.
Oh yeah.
And then it said Absolute Radio, Bush, Dave Berry, Leona, and then it ended. I was just left hanging.
Was there no Skinner?
No. That's the trouble with Saturday. I don't think they know we're coming on a Saturday morning. I think it's it's like we're squatting here. There's never anyone in the building, and we just come in, sneak in, do a radio show. I don't think anyone's told them about it.
Do you think they've just forgotten we're doing a show?
It's like sort of Wayne's World. We're just tucked away in a little warehouse somewhere. We're all party. Sorry.
They did set up a direct debit for the fees, and then they've just forgotten that it's going like gym membership.
We're the Virgin Active radio show.
That must be that's a dream, isn't it? That when you hear these tales, when you buy into something like a gym or subscribe to a magazine, and they don't realise you've stopped paying. And you have that panic. Brilliant. First, you have that mixed panic of I'm getting this free or am I paying for it and haven't realised. But when you realise you're getting it free, it's one of the best things in the world, like all free things. Yeah. Really tremendous. Listen, I want to ask your help, and this might sound a bit domestic.
Okay.
But, So
I love that you've apologised to all the 90s lad fan base.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of problems, really not my whole life, but
wow.
But with duvet issues.
Oh yeah.
And I'm talking about slippage.
You've got problems in the bedroom. That's what you're talking about.
I've got problems in the bedroom.
On national radio.
Yeah. And what happened, I'm sure this must happen to
I think I might leave you gentlemen alone to discuss this while I go off and powder my nose.
So I get duvet slippage. So what happens is I put the new duvet cover on. It's lovely. You go to sleep that night. It envelops you like a light cloud. It's a beautiful thing. And then within a few nights, the duvet within the cover has sort of moved into one section. I'll tell you what it's like. It's like sleep. You know when somebody gives you the keys to a house or something, they put it in an envelope. It's like sleeping under that. A big version of that.
I call it the slug.
It's the most, because I don't realise it until I've actually got into bed. The lights are off. I don't really register it, and then I don't want to start my day again. I don't want a sort of a status quo false ending to my day. So I lie there. The other night, the top half of my body was just duvet covered, and the bottom half, when you used to see cowboys, they didn't get shot in film, but their horse was shot. And they were on the floor, their legs were pinned under the horse. They couldn't move. It was like, it's the most annoying. I'm putting it on my list of pet hates, as they say, along with pets.
All right.
Ironically. Yeah, if anyone's got an answer to it, I would really love to. I mean, it doesn't happen. With the keys in the envelope, fine, but I've never got a letter in an envelope that has slid into one corner of the envelope. And a duvet is more like a letter, isn't it? It's a flat thing. Why does it move about at all?
Well, what we're saying, Frank, is why don't the duvet makers create a technology where the quilt is somehow affixed to the cover?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
I actually started thinking... Well, Kat said to me, because I asked her about this at length, and she said,
it was a nice chat.
I think I have a message. I just try to get her talking nowadays. She's has a memory of duvet covers or duvets with like a button on each corner, and there used to be an attendant loop, but I have no memory of that. Anyway, if anyone's got an answer to it, I've come up with a few theories, but I haven't actually tried them out yet. I'm thinking of starching it completely flat. If anyone can stop duvet slippage, let me know on 8 12 15.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Hey, you've lit up the switchboard with your with your duvet
I
slippage.
hope so, because this is a genuine... Occasionally in my life, I will say the readers will help me with this. I mean, it's a genuine service.
Indeed.
What we got?
They're what I would call a great resource. 398 has said, is Frank using best practice to apply the duvet cover? Perhaps he could say something about his technique.
Okay,
there's
I'll tell you what
implied
I
criticism in there, if ever
I think there is, yeah. Which is why I relished reading it. But.
I hold the corners, the two corners of the duvet with the two corners of the cover in synchronicity. Mm-hmm. So I put them in and then I get them right tucked into that corner, so I think it'll stay here forever. I still believe. And then I hold it up and let the whole thing drop down.
So
and
you don't do the duvet cover inside out thing?
What is that?
No, we discussed this on this very show, in fact.
And I'm 64. Blimey.
It's I think we learnt it having seen someone on Celebrity Big Brother. I believe Anthea Turner may have done it on Celebrity Big Brother.
Oh, because she tidied
impressed.
a lot, didn't she?
Yeah. Well, Al, do you want to explain?
Well, I've done it for years. You put your hands into the inside-out duvet cover and grab a corner each, and then with the same hands you grab a corner each of the duvet itself, and then you flick it very vigorously, like you're shaking out a beach towel or something, and the duvet cover travels down the duvet.
Look, it's
a beautiful moment.
I'm sure this is lovely and all very well, but I'm night 1, night 2, night 3, I'm fine with the duvet. It's corresponding lying against the cover. It's something happens in the night where it huddles.
Yeah.
I tell you what it is. It's just, I don't like gatherage. It's like at the bottom of the bed, it's like a 90s jean, all gathered at the bottom.
Do you remember do they still have it on cereal boxes where they say contents may settle?
Yes.
So that you open the box and think, aye, there's only 2/3 of a box, and what they've done is they've intermingled. Anyway,
we've had.
What about 4 bulldog clips? That was one thing I was thinking of, one on each corner.
I don't play bingo anymore. 019.
Doesn't sound comfortable.
Morning, Frank. It sounds as though your duvet is too small for the cover. I have never had duvet slippage ever.
Goodness.
The duvet should completely fill the cover. So you have to push it in and then it won't move. That's Chris from Devon.
You know what? Chris might have hit on something there, because it is a pretty big... I think I could probably get another duvet in there.
When Chris said, I've never had duvet slippage ever, I thought of the popular internet phrase, weird flex, but okay. That's what they say.
I don't know what that means.
It's like, it's a strange brag, isn't it? Weird flex.
Yeah. Well, we've had another...
okay.
Nia Parry-Jones.
There's a line from Robert Frost's The Star Splitter where he says, "We just thought he picked a strange thing to be roguish over." And I guess that could apply to the duvet.
Very similar.
Nia Parry-Jones says, "This is the bane of my life. We have a duvet with poppers, and I spend pathetic hours," I like the concept of spending pathetic hours, "tracing the corners around inside the cover. The struggle is real."
Yeah, see? It's not just me. This is the bane of my life. Do you think Batman ever says that?
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Don't forget this morning's texting. What is in your glove compartment that would surprise us? 8, 12, 15. I guess what? I mean, what chances has anyone ever guessed what from that level of guess what? Has anyone said your uncle has run away with a dancer from Ealing? Never happened. That hasn't happened to me, by the way. I don't have the kind of uncles that can run anywhere.
No.
I've been nominated. I know we don't do praise on here, but I'm chucking it in.
We do nominations.
Nominations we do. I've been nominated. That's got to be a Freudian slip. I've been nominated for Audio Broadcaster of the Year. Oi, oi, oi. Come on, Cliff, bang it out.
Stop playing congratulations.
All right, he's in the clear. We can play him.
Oh, he's played it for himself, Al.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right. Claire Amfo of BBC Radio 1, Emma Barnett of... Clara Amfo.
That's all right. It's only an A.
Aren't some CLARAs Clara's?
Yeah.
Clara Bow, wasn't she? Anyway, Clara Amfo of Radio 1, Emma Barnett of 5 Live, me, and Matt Chorley of Times Radio. Aren't you a Times Radio person? Eh?
I like the way you're reading out, going, me. Frank, I'm really excited that you're nominated. Can I say it would be thoroughly deserved if you won.
Oh, come on. Yes, you're right. And I don't fancy my chances against this kind of competition. That's why I'm mentioning the nomination, not waiting for the winner thing. Let's. If I don't win it, it'll just never be brought up on the show again. But I think one should be happy. Sarah Millican once said to me in Edinburgh, after I'd said to her I'd seen a comedian who I thought was really interesting, and she said, "Yeah, but it's the Edinburgh Comedy Festival, isn't it? Not the Edinburgh Interesting Festival," which I thought was rather marvellous. But she said to me when she was nominated for what we used to call the Perrier Award that other comedians said congratulations and non-comedians said good luck. Because the comedians thought the nomination was just a great thing.
Yeah.
Just leaving it there for you to think.
Okay, well, as a fellow podcaster, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Al, you've got to tell him congratulations.
No, you don't have to, Al. I know it's not in your nature. I'm okay.
It is.
I'm wearing... Al's down the line, so I'm just telling him this. I'm wearing a NASA sweatshirt today.
I like it. I think
Where'd you get that?
in the past.
It was bought for me by Emily Dean.
Emily Dean, in fact.
Well, probably 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, the thing... I'm not wearing anything underneath it. Obviously, lower
Just
down.
sweatshirt?
No, lower down, there's trousers and things, but just a sweatshirt.
All right.
That's what I'm wearing. And I just...
Straight on, no T-shirt?
No T-shirt, no vest, no singlet.
You got nothing underneath
I haven't got a cherub vest on, nothing.
Not a little petit bateau?
And I looked in the mirror I went to the gentleman's convenience, and I looked in the mirror, and, I tell you what it looked like. The throat gets to a certain age where it needs a bit of collar and stuff to take the edge off it. And I looked like... I once saw a programme when they had some old footballers talking about, I think it was the 1966 World Cup, and they made them wear replica shirts, these men in their 80s. And that's what I look like in the mirror. So next week I'm going to wear one of those women's hour massive scarves. Was it Jenny Murray who used to do that? Yeah, one of those enormous scarves. I shall appear like that. She used to peep out like the MGM lion from all this fabric. It was great. But I'm thinking the throat has its day. I told you once I saw a video of me filmed outdoors where my throat was slightly moved by the wind.
Oh,
and that's a turning point in one's development.
Comes to us all, dear.
I mean, really. How long before it slightly cracks like a when you flick a towel at the first year?
How long before it gets its own agent?
Yeah, my dewlaps sort of slapping. I might be able to. Maybe I'm going to try it. If I win the Broadcaster of the Year, I'm going to get a hairdryer and see if I can make my throat applaud.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Have we heard out from outside?
Well, you've been talking about your duvet problems this morning.
You've been talking about it.
No, it's very much you.
No, mate, mainly me.
And John Hopkins, Al, has been in touch to say, from my humble experience, it's all about the level of friction. If your duvet cover is made from a slippy material, essentially, you're having problems. I'm going to use a euphemism
all made
here.
from a slippy material?
If it's grip you're after, you can't
Tarpaulin.
go wrong with a heavy jacquard. A sentence I thought I'd never write.
What? A heavy jacquard?
Yes.
I've never heard of such a thing.
A jacquard is a type of fabric.
Is it really? How are you spelling that? Jacquard.
I love, how are you spelling?
Like your choice.
Yes, Jacquard.
I think I've seen the word and never known what it...
We've also had Joan Be Good has suggested...
Sister of Johnny?
Yes, she says...
Probably.
Her advice to you, Frank, to avoid duvet problems?
Yeah.
Ditch the black satin.
Yes. I don't. I did many years ago have a black duvet cover.
You didn't?
I did, but I found it was more trouble than it was
During
worth.
your goth phase.
Yeah, exactly. Do goths have black bedclothes? I love the phrase bedclothes. If you actually, it's one of those words that you use, probably you don't, but people who do, you never stand back from it and actually think you're saying that these are clothes for the bed.
I don't imagine goths. I don't know what you think, Al. I imagine them in sort of black netting. I don't think they'd... I can't imagine them having anything so soft and luxurious as the duvet.
Well, goths...
Well, you know those T-shirts that you get that can look like they've got headphones on or something like that.
Yeah.
I've always felt like the goth duvet cover should be like that, but with sort of a coffin depicted on it or something.
Oh, yeah.
Lovely, Al.
Can I say if
I've
there's
spent quite a lot of my time inventing goth merch.
Well, the goths are far and away my favourite youth subculture. I've always been
love goths.
a big fan of the goths.
Yeah.
One of the first youth subcultures, I would say, not to have a violence as one of their modus operandi.
Very benign, generous people.
I've always identified them with the Catholics, to be honest. We sit around talking about death all day and never, ever really fashionable. Yeah. Anyway... and also, I don't know if anyone can define the difference between a goth and an emo. That's something I've never quite got round to. Can you?
Oh, people can.
Age. Okay. So are emos just a new name for goths?
I tend to think so a bit.
Okay. If I was still on MySpace, I could ask one of the 5 million teenage girl goths that were on there.
I think of emo as a bit more sort of Americanised goth.
Oh,
the Americans.
Bit grunge.
You're good, exactly.
They're a bit grunge.
They're your good Charlotte.
Okay, rather than your mission.
You have it.
Okay, there we've sorted out a bit of... if you want your youth culture strands untangled, come to this show.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Frank, may I share with you a missive we've received from Richard Norman.
Okay.
He says, essentially, I mean, spoiler alert here, you have been spotted.
Okay.
Are you comfortable with me reading this out?
Yes, I don't think I've been up to anything I wouldn't want people to know about.
Okay.
Good lad.
I thought you were going to say good luck.
Yeah, it's been nice knowing you.
Oh, yeah, there was that. I'll go carry on.
Hi, Frank, Alan and the Divine Miss M. Long-time reader, first-time emailer. I was in Regent's Park on Friday afternoon, 26th of February.
Oh, okay. I was proceeding down the high street in a northerly direction.
It's very copper. Early afternoon, full stop. Gorgeous February sunshine. And who did I clap eyes on strolling aimlessly and in deep conversation alongside the path by the Camels Enclosure at London Zoo but our Frank and Dame Joan Bakewell, looking sensational in her 88th year, socially distanced, of course. Frank was sporting a snazzy Mac with a lurid orange lining, unmistakable in a North London crowd, and I was dying to stick out a hand and wave. But they looked so engrossed in convo, doubtless about how to make use of Frank's gold membership at the Zoological Society. Praise redacted, Normsy. I love that, Normsy.
Yes. Well, I know I am essentially...
He's the loneliest man in the world.
But occasionally I do the social thing, and we went for a lovely walk, and you walk very close to the zoo if you walk, London Zoo, if you walk through Regent's Park. So we didn't see any camels. We saw some small apes. It might have been I think it might have been a golden lion tamarin monkey we saw. But anyway, we sat on a bench. Someone had left like a bag and their trainers covering the whole bench. So Joan pushed it all up to one end, and we sat down. And then we realised they'd been deposited there by this woman who was on rollerblades and was doing a sort of a urban ballet. She was kind of amazing. And she was doing these things of holding one leg high in the air and just going along on one leg. And we sat there for like 15 minutes probably watching her doing these.
You see all sorts of stuff in the park. People
Always.
running backwards, people doing martial arts. I never see anything except someone walking a dog with a little bag in their hand.
Well, you moved to the north. Anyway, so we noticed a Great Britain tracksuit top. And then here's the thing which if any of our ice skating fraternity will know the answer to. Do you think that a figure skater could practice by rollerblading? Would they gain anything from that?
Oh, that's a good question.
Or is there a Great Britain rollerblading team? Seems unlikely, but people compete at all sorts of stuff.
I think there is a connection. It's to do with the balance, isn't it, presumably?
Yeah.
She was remarkable, anyway, to watch. Haughty. When
You'd
she
think
came
they're
over,
transferable skills, wouldn't you?
when
The
she came over
rollerblading
to the
and that.
bench, and Joan had moved her trainers, and Joan said, "I'm sorry, we were just moving it along so we could see it." She just didn't even reply.
Said out.
And we chose to believe that she was so in her own world of this ballet that she didn't really hear, rather than she was a bit frosty.
Yeah.
But
No, I think the frosty ones are the actual ice skaters.
yeah, I think well, she might have been one, as we've. But it's really amazing. Maybe Normo, who saw me and
Normsy.
Joan. Yeah, maybe he saw her as well. He might have a theory. He might have had a frosty reception as well. Of course. I was thought we would be talking to her, asking her about whether she's in the Britain team or she just bought the tracksuit from TK Maxx. But we never. I was put off.
But as it happens with we've had mention of TK Maxx in one of our Outside World texters. 945.
Hold on now, because we're about to go in for a break. I love the idea of a TK Maxx cliffhanger. I don't think we've ever had any of those before.
I don't think anyone in the entire world has ever had one.
I can almost see the Not Quite Right sportswear as we speak. So we're going to be back with TK Maxx news after this.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
Anyway, this is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text the show. Go on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Al, you were mid TK Maxx.
Many have texted the show, and 945 is just one of them. In response to your duvet slippage anecdote, they say, "Morning, everyone."
More of a plea for help, really.
Yes, morning, everyone. My latest duvet cover, which is DKNY, and they add in brackets, it's from TK Maxx, so don't panic.
I have to say, DKNY, in my mind, is synonymous with TK Maxx. I don't know why. There are certain brands that are there more than others.
Yes, I would say...
that makes sense.
Yes. I would concur.
They continue. The new duvet cover from TK Maxx has ties on the 4 internal corners, which I attach the loop on duvet covers. It's absolutely marvellous, and it always stays perfectly positioned, from Jane in sunny Lincolnshire. So she's finished off with a slight weather report as well, which is
I used to have a tour manager who used to say, "Oh, well, off to sunny Stockport." He always said that. I had a terrible flashback there. What I don't understand about Jane's duvet cover is that doesn't there need to be something on the accompanying duvet to tie it to?
I wondered that. I wondered if the duvet is also DKNY, in which case it's starting to really rack up in the expenses department.
You can't go to TK Maxx and then match things. You have to buy isolated outsiders. That's what it's all.
Is there a possibility of an invention where there's a duvet that has one side of Velcro and a duvet cover that is the internal side of it is Velcro? Would that help?
Oh, well, can you imagine changing that? You'd be stuck to your hair.
And also in the night. Yeah. That's what my mouth used to... When I had hangovers, my mouth used to sound like that in the morning.
Frank, Paul C. says Frank should sleep on the floor and not disturb the duvet. It was good enough for the Count of Monte Cristo.
Was it really? Did he sleep on the floor?
Oh, I didn't. Well, I don't think he slept on the floor in a sort of Hoxton flat futon way.
No.
I think maybe he was forced.
I can't remember the story of the... Is that where we find the man in the iron mask, an old favourite of the show? I once... I said, if you didn't moisturise for a week, would you be able to recreate the experience of the man in the iron mask? That terrible tightness and constriction on the face. I haven't read not the Mount of Monte Cristo. I think that was one of the sequels.
Yeah.
The Count of Monte Cristo. So I didn't know he slept on the floor. It seems unlikely for a count, doesn't it?
I mean, I would say that wasn't the sort of headline news of his story, of his journey.
I don't know the story at all, I'll be honest with you.
Me neither.
Is it Dumas?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. Frank, I'd also like to share quickly Daniel Skipsey. In the early 90s, I had a typewritten catalogue of merchandise from the CPFC club shop. One of the items listed was a jacquard scarf. I'd never heard the word jacquard before.
This is Crystal Palace?
Yeah. I'd never heard the word jacquard before or since.
No.
Until today, 30 years later.
And what is it again?
Great Scrabble word 2, 27 points.
Okay.
It's
Very good.
It's a form of fabric. Jacquard, I don't entirely know what the makeup is of it. I don't know. I'm assuming there's some nylon in there.
What I'd like is
Quite satiny,
is
maybe,
if an
Jacquard.
English film company, TV company, bought the rights to Jackass, and then they did a programme called Jacquard, in which you had to do pranks which involved that particular fabric. See, if telly was more like that, I would never switch it off if it was just those kind of flimsy premises and wild ideas. But oh no, it has to be people making cake.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I would like to bring a lady who's been in the news to your attention. Taylor Octave, for a start, a great handle, I think.
Taylor
and she's been dubbed the unluckiest woman in Britain.
Okay.
Because of the lottery.
I feel
the
we should
Euro
have
Millions jackpot.
Oh yeah, we should have a jingle with that on. I think.
What, unluckiest woman in Britain?
Unluckiest woman in Britain. Okay.
I mean, I think it's stretching the point a little bit, but let me run it past you. She bought a Euro Millions jackpot ticket, and every single number of hers was won out. Not just she was won out of winning the whole thing, but each number. So when the winning number was 4, she was at 5. When it was 12, she was at 13. So she was won out all the way along the line of winning numbers. And she said, and I'm going to quote her, Taylor, she said, "It's a long shot to win the lottery anyway, but to be so close is heartbreaking." That's what she said. She missed out on nearly.
I wish she'd have said, "What are the chances of that happening?" That one, I thought more of her.
So she narrowly missed out by getting them all incorrect.
She got none.
Yeah, she got
lottery
none.
numbers correct.
But she thinks that she was nearly right on. I'm assuming that if there's an emergency, she thinks it's fine to phone 888 or 810 because they're all won out.
I see.
I mean, it's unusual that happened, but I don't think. I tell you, I saw this story, and she said she did get £2.80 back the same week because on one of her other lines she got 2 numbers right. Well, that was better. That was closer.
Yeah,
That is
agree.
unluckier, you could say. I didn't know you got money back for 2 numbers now. I mean, it's.
I didn't know anything about it at all.
Well, I used to, in the early days, I used to do it and was, everybody was mad about it in the early days. And we all,
It could be you. Wasn't that the logo?
It could be you, yeah. I think it was a very interesting thing with the slogan.
I'm sorry.
It was, it could be you with a crossed finger.
Was there a celebrity
and
attached to the campaign? There must have been. If any of our readers can remember, do tell us.
It wasn't me, if that's what you wanted. So it could be you. And then there was some sort of complaint about the slogan that it was a bit misleading because the chances of it being you was so minuscule that it could be you. And I thought it was a bit harsh at the time because, well, it's still, one cannot deny that it could be you, no matter what the chances are.
Perhaps they should have got Harry Hill to say, Frank.
What are the chances? So, no, but they replaced it. I don't know if you remember this. They replaced it in order to make it not seem so, such a great chance with maybe, just maybe. Now,
no.
I don't know. I don't think if you're going to have a slogan, you don't want a comma. There's no place for a comma in a good slogan, is there?
Compromise is where the art gets destroyed.
And also, maybe, just maybe, why is that a suggestion that you've got less of a chance that it could be you? Because really what you're saying is maybe, just maybe, it could be you. It's a qualifier, it isn't a slogan. Anyway, there was a big fuss and they changed it and everyone said, oh, well, that's all right now, maybe, just maybe, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, strange.
It's It's a cult, weird, underground, strange world. The other week, if you remember, I had a text in. What were the other machines called apart from Guinevere? What were the other Arthurian titles? And we got nothing. I had written that it was sent. There's probably some government thing that stops those things being exchanged. You'll all come out and you'll say, oh, we thought Frank had gone balmy, but turns out.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
We were talking about the National Lottery.
351 has been in touch to say, re-lottery machines, Frank. There was definitely a Lancelot.
Oh, was there?
I think there was of course there was. Can you hear? I can imagine Paul Coyer saying, "Go over to Lancelot now."
Yeah, I can only
Nick Knowles?
hear Guinevere, but I'm sure there were other Arthurians. Mordred.
Well,
This week it's
351.
Mordred, and all the balls were black.
There must have been Merlin then.
I don't know if there wasn't people.
No, Merlin was the counting. Merlin was something different.
I can hear the people at the meeting now of Camelot saying, because they were called Camelot, but saying the thing is, if we call it Merlin, people are going to think, oh, a bit of magic, trickery, maybe it's not completely fair.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I think Merlin, I'm sure Merlin was involved in some capacity.
There was a Merlin actual ball machine.
Yeah. I don't know. I may have got that
Well,
wrong.
we'll see.
Someone from Camelot.
And Gaius.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they were. I think they were going from Thomas Mallory rather than the recent TV production. That's my view on it. Which came first? Well, the company Camelot, they were already existed and then thought, well, we'll go for Arthurian names because of Camelot.
Who knows?
Anyway, this
I've
woman
never played
thought
it.
she was... You've never played the lottery?
Of course he hasn't.
The nearest I've got to it is the oft mentioned in the tabloids postcode lottery, where I've lived in a place and therefore have either got or missed out on some local services.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Not as much fun, is it, that one?
It's not. They don't mention it on the telly.
No, there's no... You'd think there'd be an accompanying television programme
Yes.
with, like, local builders and the council.
But you've got to be in it to win it. That was the other one.
Maybe. Just maybe.
I like that the unluckiest woman in Britain. We don't have a jingle, but Frank,
No.
you can improvise.
What was her name? She has a fantastic name.
Taylor Octave.
Taylor
Yes.
Octave. Okay. I thought her numbers would have been 8 up from all the winning numbers.
She talked about doing the lottery and she said, well, we've just been doing it in lockdown because my sister and I thought it was something for us to do. I like the idea of it being something for you. I've
Doesn't
never
take
thought
up-
of the lottery as a pastime.
No, or as a time filler.
No,
Really?
it's not like a 3,000-piece jigsaw.
No.
Or something like it's-
Have you never said, what are your plans today then? I'm going to fill out my lottery numbers.
Well, it depends how many lines she had, I suppose. But
suppose.
even so.
Also, when they say, when a lot of people who buy, who've narrowly missed out, because they often do this story, they'll say, what would you have done with the money? Or what will you do with the money? You get this on quiz shows, and they always say, I take my mum on holiday.
Yeah.
Take my family on holiday, buy myself a car, buy my mum a house. It's always those three. Why don't they say something a bit original?
Well, Octave... Is that a first name or a second name? I don't want to be like her at public
Second.
school.
No, Taylor Octave.
Oh, Taylor. Taylor said that she would... she'd like an Audi A1 car and a holiday to the Maldives. And
There you
I
go.
think Taylor has heard... the story of the person that only had one sausage in their sausage and beans and complained and got 24 tins and thought, if I mention this, I bet Camelot, whoever it is nowadays, offer me an Audi A1 and a holiday in the Maldives. Well, give it a go. We'll see. So you've got to be in it to win it. And then turned to her mum and said, maybe, just maybe, with a crossed finger. And they all laughed.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Al, have you
Yeah.
seen we've been told the names of the lottery machines. 700
Yes.
has texted us. Lottery machine names. Guinevere,
Yeah, we all knew that.
Lancelot,
Good guess.
Arthur.
You know, it never occurred to me that actually be an Arthur, because it makes one seem superior to the others.
Merlin.
There was a Merlin, I take it back.
Halogen did the Thunderball
Halogen,
draw.
which one was... Halogen was the name of one of the machines.
I don't know, but I loved your sense of outrage as soon as I
Well,
mentioned
if you set up a
It's a
theme,
big shift.
stick with it, yeah. Halogen. Oh, God. Okay, well,
dear.
I'm shocked by that, because I say I used to watch it every week. I even watched the reruns on Challenge of the
Did you?
lottery show. I don't think it did that well on the repeats front, did it?
I can't imagine why.
But
That's the most. That's the definition of depressing TV, is a competition that's already been won.
did I tell you I had a friend? That's the end of that anecdote.
No, you haven't told us.
No, yeah. I had a friend. I think it's all right to name on air. She didn't do anything bad. And I won't say a surname.
Okay.
She's called Emma. And a relative, I think it was, of hers won either the lottery or something similar. And I think his name was Gold. And she decided that, you know our story about, we used to talk about nominative determinism, that your name has an influence on your life, like Gary Player becoming a golfer or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Really, Tiger Woods should have been called Gary Player. That would have covered all the bases. But anyway, Emma decided that it was his name had drawn money in some way. And so her name, I don't want to tell you her surname, it doesn't seem fair, but it was not a million miles from what she changed it to. So she changed her name to Emma Millions. And I think she's done well in life, but she didn't have the big win. But there's another connected with the lottery. This reminds me of the Daily Mirror, I think it was, had a lottery correspondent. Can you believe? He used to write, and he changed his name by deed poll to Lenny Lottery. And now that, for me, that is taking nominative determinism and spitting in its face to get the job first and then get the name. It's just wrong. And Lenny Lottery was a regular columnist writing about, you've guessed it, the lottery. Dedication to the task, though.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Right, have we heard from Al Fresco?
We have, Al, haven't we?
We've heard many times from the outside world. One of them, I think, is probably a useful one to just clarify. 386. You were discussing earlier about youth subcultures being into violence, and from John in Cambridge, the original mods were never into violence, and he points out tailor-made suits and a punch-up do not mix. It was the press that made that up.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Prince Harry. Can I say, it was you that brought up mods. I never mentioned mods at all. I don't know why you leapt to them with your stereotyping of mods as one of the violent subcultures.
All right, look, we've all had a
No,
drink.
I take his point.
Look, we've none of us had a drink.
I take his point. The Battle of Hastings and all that, mods and rockers. I seem to remember seeing pictures, but I can understand that there was probably a good deal of flannel around.
I mean, I think perhaps the early mods that wore the sort of tailor-made suits, they were not violent, but then the later ones that wore jeans and army jackets, that was like Dress Down Friday, ready for action, perhaps. I don't know.
The history of violence here on Absolute Radio with Alan Cochrane. In fact, in the midst of Cochrane. See what you think. So, yeah, well, I take your point. Are
it's
we going to
not-
get texts in now from rockers, skinheads, boot boys, suede heads, all saying we never touched anyone in our life?
Phil Daniels.
Yeah, it wasn't
live
legal.
on the phone in a minute. We've had
Teddy boys writing in with fountain pens.
Shawaddy.
Yeah, well, they weren't authentic. But
Oh,
yes.
I knew you'd say. I knew you'd be a Teddy boy snob.
Purist.
While we're on the subject, Al, of
Violence.
you and violence,
Oh, yeah.
only is Lee. There's a lot to unpack in that handle, but anyway, let's move on. Got in touch. Just listening back to the latest podcast, and I noticed Alan making reference to When I Killed Tybalt. Does that mean
Oh,
that
yeah.
the Cockerel once played Romeo and only very casually mentioned it?
Absolutely. That's,
Wow.
100%. I played Romeo for Dewsbury Arts Group in what I think is a large clerical error of casting, but we went with it. I'm about as Romeo as Dick Van Dyke is Cockney, but they went with it. They just had a go.
I'd love to
And
have
yeah.
seen your Romeo. I bet you were marvellous.
Well, I wanted the funny one. What was the funny one?
Julia. No, well, that's quite a thing, though. In fact, Baroness Bakewell was asking me if I'd ever been in a Shakespeare, even at school or anything, and I never have.
Oh, we'd all like to see your bottom.
Well,
Oh, come on.
it's
Come on.
amazing. You'd have thought in my golden years I'd have got the bottom phone call.
You would.
As it were.
Do you know that you'd be a great... You're very rude mechanical.
Yes, and I've got all the donkey sensibilities
God's sake.
that I need. And what are you looking at me like that for? Yes, well, if there's anyone out there doing the dream, you know where I am. You know where I am.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, and email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Try one of those babies, why don't you?
You have had one of your stranger text-ins is have you got anything unusual in your car glove box? Is that?
I've never said glove box in my life. I think I said glove compartment.
Oh, did you?
Oh, I always say that.
I do as well.
I don't know where
Do you
glove
really?
box. See, in fact, until you said it this morning, I wasn't even aware of it.
Do car manufacturers, yes, I'm asking you, Alan Cochrane, do they refer to it as glove compartment still?
Or glove box.
Or, fine.
Well, there's a lot of people on the text referring to it as glove box. So
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
think
well,
I've
then-
made a
What I'm
faux
saying,
pas.
Al, is what is the official title, the manufacturer's name of that area in the car?
It's probably something like a dash container or something
That's right,
really
yeah.
dull. Like that.
Okay.
Anyway,
They
what have
probably
people?
don't say glove box, do they?
No.
What have people got in there?
'Cause it's-
Well, I feel like I have a very vested interest in knowing what people have got in there because you've stumbled onto an area of my life that I care passionately about at the moment because my own car glove box has trapped itself shut and I cannot get it open with all of my not massive might, but I mean, I really think I'm going to have to take a crowbar to it and
Oh,
rip
God,
it
that
apart.
sounds a little
don't get the
extreme.
rustle out.
I've even tried unscrewing the screws at the bottom of it, but importantly for the vehicle, it has the locking wheel nut in there that mechanics need to get the wheels off. Oh, it's been an absolute nightmare. I don't mind telling you guys. But to lighter news, other people have got more fun things.
Can I tell you
in
what that
there.
reminds me of? I was once in a canteen and I put all this food on my plate from various various tubs.
Was it a
So-
buffet selection?
It was. So I had a plate
a
full of
buffet.
2 platefuls of food in the days when one would, as a matter of course, also get something with custard on. And when I got up to the till, the coat I was wearing, the sort of warm coat, I couldn't get the zip down on it. So I couldn't reach the wallet in my inside jacket pocket. It was a terrible. I was there. There was a queue behind me. You could hear motterings. And
Are you sure this was a real event and not an anxiety dream?
This was when I was trying to break. In the end, I was trying to break the zip. I didn't even have the strength to break it. I had to go away into a corner and work on this thing.
Tooth
in the
by
end,
tooth.
I think I took it off without taking the zip off.
Oh,
And
I feel your pain.
the food was cold. Oh, nightmare. Anyway,
What happened?
Unluckiest man in Britain.
there you go.
Yeah.
So,
171 has texted, I have a note in my glove box reading, to the person stealing my car, do me one favour, please return the car once you've finished with it. Needless to say, it's never been read by anyone but myself, which is good. That's from Mongolian Dave from Kent.
that is good. I wonder, you're asking a lot of the car thief to care about that one way or another, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
But worth a try.
411, my brand new Volvo V90. All right.
Show off.
All right.
Hey, 411, call me. Has, according to the manual, a glove box.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
It is
excellent.
referred
I'm
to
sad.
in that.
I miss compartment already.
Glove box sounds rather Lady Bracknell, doesn't it? Oh,
Is that lucky, Al?
Yeah, that's my dog barking at the window. I have asked my son to be in charge of her, but...
When you were talking about things being locked in the glove box, didn't include your whippet, did it? I could understand some sense of emergency if that. As an Irish driver once said to me when we were moving house and we had a cat, and when I got in the car, I said, "Where's the cat?" And he said, "I said send the boot," and I said. No, stop the car. And I said, you can't put the cat in the boot. And I remember he said, there's a fierce amount of air in there.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
What else from the outside world?
Well, I'll tell you what I'd like to use this time wisely to just thank Ed Elliott, who's been in touch. Are you familiar with
Ed
Ed
Elliott? Wasn't he the snow angel, man?
He's the ice sculpture guy that risked frostbite.
Oh, yes. But he
Yes, he
still
didn't.
managed to do a text with his remaining digits.
Yeah, he poured out a text.
Can I just say...
Probably done with an
Do you know-
icicle.
Can I just say, I've noticed we've got a very squeaky door, which in a radio
We sure
studio
have.
is something of an issue.
I quite
Do you like it?
Yeah, it makes it. It's like that. You know those guys that do special effects on Radio 4 dramas. It's like having one of those guys operating.
It's like working in the old curiosity shop.
Should I tell you, we are sitting here chatting very genially, but the producer and assistant producer are running around outside like the building is on fire.
I've never seen faces like it.
No. And they were telling us earlier that they're not allowed to leave us in the studio on our own. That didn't last long as a rule.
It's all gone out the window.
I'm filling in an overtime form for all this extra talking we're doing now.
Ed Elliott, anyway, the sculptor has said, he said, I'm chuffed you noticed it. Thank you.
Oh.
So he sends a thank you to me, thank you to Absolute Radio and Frank. Sorry, Al,
Oh.
but you're not on Twitter, so you don't get personal
Well,
thank
I have
you.
to say to Ed, it is a beautiful thing, the Snow Angel.
Was, surely.
Was. Maybe now he could build a Sun Angel.
Yeah.
I'd
Is the music
really like
working yet?
something from the producer that tells me whether I'm talking, whether I'm going out, whether there's music playing. I've never felt so abandoned since I was a latchkey kid in the 1970s.
Try my backstory.
We're going to try the
dear.
adverts and see if that works.
Okay.
So here we go.
Oh, God, she's taken over.
Cross your fingers.
Yeah.
Rolled it off.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
No, we've had some technical issues. I feel my audio broadcaster of the year gong has been completely obliterated by this.
Well, don't be too sure. Normally we don't read out praise, but 992 texted best 10 minutes of radio ever, and I'm assuming that's
The
in
silence.
description
Reference to the silence.
It's the
Thank
silence.
you.
So that's just be
Charming.
honest.
Charming.
Brother 994 from a monastery in Sussex said the best bit of radio.
Oh, I love
ever heard.
the Is it the Franciscans or the Benedictine? Which ones are the silent
You
order?
mind your own business.
I ask from a history of art perspective, okay?
History of art. Come off it. Isn't that
I
what
want
Prince
to talk.
William and
I believe so.
yeah.
Yeah. I want to talk about the Cadbury's golden cream eggs.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, there's a couple of reasons for this. Firstly, there was a Cadbury's gold cream egg that sold for 37,000 or 31,000, depending on which media source you rely on.
Really, that's $6,000 difference between.
Yes.
I think it's to do
Been
with...
skimmed off by the auction house, maybe.
Exactly.
Well, I think it's to do with whether you include the 20% sale commission.
all that stuff.
Oh, I was
Telegraph
right.
choose to, BBC don't. There you go. What does that tell you?
Interesting.
Yeah, I
Anyway.
remember I paid, I think it was $9,000 for Elvis's shirt, and I ended up paying 11 to the actual auction.
There you
house.
go. Yeah.
That's how they get you.
Oh, that's how they get you.
Well, that's what Frank's father said. When if someone asked you the time, he said that's how they get you.
Yeah, he did. He did knock someone over a wall for asking him the time at night because he assumed it was a mugging of some kind.
Anyway, the Cadbury's Conundrum egg. It was sold recently for this huge amount of money. It was originally made in the 1980s.
I've never heard of it, I must say.
Do you not know? Well, it was. Remember, treasure hunts were.
Of course, I can't use a conundrum.
Oh, for God's
Venus, you are a
sake.
Catholic.
Yeah.
Do you remember treasure hunts were very in vogue?
Well, a dear friend of mine, I think, was the pioneer of the bury something golden and then have a book with a lot of clues in it. Kit Williams wrote a book called Masquerade, and fabulously illustrated a book called Masquerade back in '79. When was the Cadbury's golden egg?
Well, they did this in the 80s, and I think they copied.
Oh, come on. They just ripped off Kit Williams.
This is
Anyway,
what I
It's so jarring because I don't think of 80s Britain as being golden egg treasure hunts. I think of 80s Britain and I think minor strikes and poll tax riots and stuff.
I think of the yuppies who you could say their lives were a golden egg treasure.
Oh, good point.
Hey,
Good
what about
point.
that? Hey, I think I'm back on the audio broadcaster of the year list.
Talking about
That was my throat, by the way.
Frank thinks his mention of the word yuppies.
Yeah,
It's got
exactly.
him back
They love the current affairs.
What I like about Frank Skinner, he's so topical. He was talking about yuppies this morning.
Exactly. And the Kit Williams Masquerade book from 1979.
Anyway,
So tell me what happened then. What was the nature? They buried some golden cream eggs.
Gather around the fireside, everyone. They buried 12 golden eggs, not cream, based on the cream egg, but these were actually gold, more like your Fabergé.
Oh, your Fabergé.
Buried them all around the country, published a book, which looks suspiciously similar to Kit Williams, may I say. But
Yes.
that's another anecdote.
And it's called,
/ lawsuit.
Conundrums Book of Riddles.
And they, in addition to this,
That's
they made...
over. If you don't mind the pun, it's over-egging the pudding, isn't it?
Somewhat.
Conundrums Book of Riddles. Yeah, we get it. We get it. You don't have to go on about it. Okay, so they buried 12 golden eggs. Cadbury's did that.
Yeah.
I like the idea that they were driving around. You know those big eggs at Cadbury World that you can drive in? That they were driving around like that, burying them. People drive
Imagine
parked
if
in
that
a
was your
lay-by.
job. What's your job, egg barrier?
If you saw one of the egg cars in a lay-by there, you'd be suspicious, wouldn't you? I wonder if you could take them on the road. Were the Cadbury's World egg cars roadworthy? 8, 12, 15.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Okay.
We were talking about this a thing that completely passed me by in the 80s, as so many things did, and this is one of the drawbacks of alcoholism. I don't remember the burying of Cadbury's golden eggs.
The burials, the 12 burials.
If there's anyone here who knows anyone who found one or anything, I'd love to hear about it at 8, 12, 15. I know it's a slim shot. I imagine many of them were found by Cadbury's employees.
Yeah.
Well, the 13th egg, Al, which is one of my favourite Agatha Christie novels,
Yeah.
that has gone on sale again, and it recently... they sold it for this 37k.
And it's bigger than the other eggs, is that right?
Oh, yeah, bigger, yes.
This one? No, but it's bigger
Yeah.
than the other golden eggs.
They made a special big one. It was all made by Garrard's, the Queen's Jewellers.
But it was
Yeah.
made, and I like this, it was made for retailers only, the big one. So the public couldn't take... This is a sort of jobs for the boys. So
Yeah.
Mr. Harris at the corner shop could try and win the big egg. It reminds me, when I was living back in the West Midlands, there was a thing called a macro card.
Oh.
And Macros was the sort of wholesale place for the retailer, so things were a bit cheap then. It was a cave of wonders. I never went in it, so I never got the card. But people
At school,
Yeah?
if people's parents had a macro card, they were sort of an elite status school person.
Completely.
I don't know anything of it about any of
Yeah,
this.
so you got stuff cheaper. So
Oh,
people
yeah.
would say, yeah, I've been doing I did a bit of catering at a couple of weddings, and I've got myself a macro card. And we go,
Yeah.
wow.
Really?
Yeah, and you go into the elite world of slightly cheaper stuff. I think you had to buy like 200 of everything, but even...
I feel I really missed out.
Oh, man. There was a real gap between what retailers had at their fingertips and what the public had.
Yeah.
And I think this egg is a perfect symbol of that. A bigger egg, the macro egg, as I'm calling it.
Well, I've only just found out. Do you know about this, Al? I mean, I found out so much about eggs
About these eggs.
recently because, yes, that I didn't know. Firstly, I didn't know that Cadbury's cream eggs are only available 4 months of the year,
Is that still true?
apparently.
They're seasonal.
Yeah, they're seasonal.
Did you know that,
At a
Frank?
time when you can get pomegranates all the year round. Cadbury's cream eggs have remained... Because they used
Is there
to
chocolate
be...
hens that have to lay them for a quarter of the year or something?
Well, they are... They used to be seasonal. I thought that had stopped.
No.
Because I see them all the time now. I'm going to ask another question, and I've got to be straight with you.
I know everything now. I know how many a year are sold in those 4 months. Do you know how many are sold in those 4 months?
In Britain, or we'll call it the UK.
Yeah, UK.
Or to quote Matt Berry, the UK. I'd say 1 million.
Alan,
200,000.
200 million.
What?
Between us,
200?
we got a
So
close to
then
an
the
answer.
population, that's like people buy 4 each
Yeah.
or something.
Some of them look like they do.
Can I ask you a question? I don't know if you guys ever eat a Cadbury's cream egg in current
Regularly.
times. Okay. Do they still have the orange smear?
I beg your pardon.
You know, they used to have like an orange
yolk.
smear of orange stuff representing the yolk
Of
in the middle of
course.
the white.
That's the whole essence of it.
I thought they stopped that and they just went albumin.
No, the whole point of the egg. Because how I eat the egg, just if anyone's interested.
Oh, is this going to be mildly erotic?
Oh, have you met me? I couldn't be erotic if I tried.
Oh, come on, don't put yourself
and
down. I won't have that said.
I stripped the foil down.
We've started.
I stripped the foil down.
Yeah.
Just half an inch. And you know what? I see the foil rather like the towel tied round the waist.
Oh, okay.
You know, of the good-looking hero in the movie, in the rom-com.
I don't know about you, Al, but I'm sweating.
I'm going for a cold shower during this.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't even got to the orange smear. Yeah. But yes, and then what happens? You bite the top off.
Yeah. But
Okay.
we're going to have to go to the music in a second.
Okay. What I
Producer's
do is
gonna
I
be
put
cross
the
with us.
whole egg in my mouth and just let it melt of its own accord.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
I don't. No one would do that.
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We were talking about the Cadbury's and their they dipped into the golden eggs mystery business in the 80s. Who knew?
And
Yeah.
there is currently, just in case the two of you are interested, there is a current promotion. There are 200 gold cream eggs that have been distributed. I'm going to say gold chocolate. So they're not actual Garrard gold eggs.
Okay.
Gold chocolate
Never
made
heard
from...
such talk.
No, of course you haven't. But they're made from gold edible foil. They've been distributed. 200 shops in the UK have them. So they'll 5 in Waitrose,
But
5
you'd
in
see it,
Iceland.
wouldn't you? If it's the foil, you'd just be able to say, "Oh, there's the gold one."
No, the chocolate inside is gold edible.
I see.
The
So you find
gold
out when you
edible
unwrap it.
foil, Frank, is the food stuff.
Well, I'll go to our house.
You don't know until you open it.
Okay.
Once you unpeel it, you'll see that it's
Yeah.
gold, and then you'll look on the inner wrapping. You will have a £5,000 prize.
5,000.
Or it might be 50. It depends which one you get.
Oh, okay. And who's picking them this week? Is it Arthur, Merlin, Guinevere, or who was Mordred?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't Mordred, I don't think. So they've gone gold again, having already done the gold
Yeah.
thing. I mean, come on, Cadbury's. What you should have had is 12 of this year's batch of cream eggs are fertilised. And you should have an actual, like, embryonic chicken in there amidst the lovely, sweet, gooey whiteness. That would have given the kids a bit of education.
I might get. Imagine if we get one. Imagine if we said some might do a story on me. I might say I came so close to winning it. I bought an actual egg instead of a cream egg. I nearly won.
Yeah, exactly. I got a chocolate egg, and when I opened it, it was brown, which I believe is next to gold
Yeah.
on the spectrum of colours.
703 has texted, whole egg in. I do that, Frank. I'm assuming that they mean about a Cadbury's cream egg rather than an actual egg.
Oh yeah, he puts the whole egg in. No, I could
Well,
never do that.
I think it's a he, but I'm
yeah, well, who
basing
knows?
that on the fact
I'm
that
gonna say
they're
that.
boasting
Roy,
about this.
Yes, exactly.
You see, Roy Rockcliffe has
Roy Rockcliffe, okay.
he has
I
an
like that.
interesting tip. Read gold eggs. Instead of idiots peeking through the foil, he's got strong feelings about this, hasn't he? Just
mind
read the list of ingredients to find one. Simples.
Oh, so it'd be a different ingredient. To
Seems
make
a long
gold
way to go
chocolate.
to remember the E number of the
Also-
gold edible
Oh, no.
foil.
We're talking $5,000, Al.
Forgive me,
True enough.
but I'm not sure that Cadbury's cream eggs. I think the list of ingredients, are they on the cream egg for? They must be somewhere.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine someone. I've never seen anyone reading the ingredients. Like, I'm just making sure this is nice and nutritious
Yeah.
before I buy it.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something? Last night, my partner, Kath, I was sitting on the sofa and she came into the room and was standing at the side, and I looked at her and I seemed to see our whole relationship stretched out. She looked particularly beautiful to me, and I thought, this is my partner, this is the woman, the mother of my child, the woman with whom I share my life, and I'm so happy about that. And she said to me, "What are you looking at me like that for?" I said, "Oh, nothing."
Oh.
There you go.
Well, you know what?
Long-term relationships, ladies
Yeah,
and
but
gentlemen.
you've told her in your
she
own
won't. She doesn't
fashion.
listen. She doesn't listen.
She
to this.
does listen.
She will occasionally say to me, "Oh, I like that shoegaze track you played," and then that's about it. Anyway, just saying.
It keeps your feet on the ground.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
What was it they used to say, Casey Kasem? Do you remember him in the
I
90s?
do remember
He said,
him.
keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
Oh, good.
There you go.
Slightly adapted and Oscar Wilde.
I know.
But, you know,
He's,
it's not as good as Short Taylor's Keep and Peel. which I think was reference to the last golden chocolate eggs thing. Anyway, it's been an interesting one. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties. I mean, it wasn't my fault. I don't see why that should take away my broadcaster prize. All right, calm down, Frank. No, but it's not fair, is it? You think it's fair? I don't. Thank you so much for listening to us this morning. It means a great deal. We love you all. And, well, not you, mate, but everyone else. And if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now, and not for long, stay in.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.